recording this session so that we missed that one completely. So
Well, it's not like the drugstore is the only place that sells that stuff.
no, kitchen stores sell that stuff too. But for the good of the order and for anybody else who's actually logging on later on to look at these things on YouTube, um, I just want to remind everybody that I do have the soldering irons outdoors on the table every day, available for pickup in case somebody wants to borrow a soldering iron. And I've got the little bottles of solvent, paint thinner, in case you need a little bottle of paint thinner to finish up your things and smooth everything out. I really recommend just holding off on this until the last minute, because you keep refining and you keep refining things, and it's kind of a waste of the smoothing process if you're going to just keep like I'm doing, finding new things that need doing on this, new muscle groups or changing the proportions of something. And so I'm sculpting on my surface, and it has lots and lots of tool marks on it, and I'm going to be patient. I'm just going to let that be until I'm ready to do whatever final surface refinement that I need to do on this thing. But those things are available on the table outside the west door of Eden Hall. And if you guys get things finished and want to start bringing them in, I can receive them on Friday or Monday of next week, or after Wednesday's class, on days after Wednesday. But we're just going to keep sculpting on these things until they're ready to cast, and there's no pressure on my end to finish anything by next week necessarily. It can go into the 7th week of the quarter if you want. I just need to get some things started so that I can start demonstrating this stuff and demonstrate the casting process, and then get some people started grinding and polishing on their sculptures to get them finished up. Oh, it's hard to believe that Puxatawny Phil says that there's only going to be 6 weeks of winter left. I used to think that was an enormously long time when I lived in Minnesota. 6 weeks of winter seemed like an eternity to me. And now it's 5 weeks until finals week here, and oh my God, it's like a sprint to the end of a quarter when you're at the 5-week point. So we will finish this quarter up, and we'll be looking at spring quarter on the horizon pretty soon. Oh gosh, I'm supposed to make some housekeeping announcements about stuff too. So if you are graduating this spring, please do a graduation app. Grad apps are available as a form that you can find in my Laker link, or you can also get them at the Student First Stop. And you have to take it to your advisor and have them sign off on it as part of the graduation application process. But if you're going to be within 10 credits of graduating this spring, you're sure welcome to participate in graduation and do the cap and gown thing and all of that, because it's a really important rite of passage. And then you can continue finishing up the degree if you're like only got 10 credits or less left to do. And if you're transferring to another college or university, you can always transfer back those credits because they also work here, those credits that would satisfy your last requirements for graduation. So as soon as you can complete those credits, either here or at another college or university, we are happy then to confer your degree at that point. But if you're within 10 credits, we'd like you to participate in graduation this year. So do the graduation app. Grad apps are due by Friday this week, Friday, February 5th. So if you can add that to your list of things to do, that would be great. Does anybody have any questions about the graduation app paperwork? All right.
There's a lot of people here from Minnesota.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Scandinavians over here on the coast. They all moved here 100 years ago to do fishing and the timber industry, and they all stayed. Lots of Scandahoovians around here.
Well, there's you and who is it?
Oh,
There's a couple other instructors that are from Minnesota as well.
yeah, Fred Brick. My
Yeah,
nemesis.
Brooke is. That's right. He has a Minnesota license plate above his chalkboard.
Oh my gosh.
I have a question
Yes.
about my sculpture. So I have this bird that I, put all this time into and stuff, but he doesn't have a way to stand. I wanted him to look like he was coming in for a landing or something, but he's literally here. He's literally just got legs and stuff. He doesn't stand. His legs aren't long enough, unless I go disproportionate. I was thinking about having a branch there, but even then, I don't know. And then I'd have to completely rework the feet anyways. I just wonder if you had any ideas, if there's a way we could make him stand without looking like he's got to stand, so he looks like he's still in flight.
Huh. Well, to be in flight, his claws or talons would probably be curled up underneath of him like a fist. And you can do that, and then that would make him look like he's flying. We could drill a hole in his breast and put him on a like 1/8 inch thick bronze welding rod, so that he'd be like suspended in the air and coming down to a base element, so that he might be like 2 or 3 inches above the base, suspended on that bronze welding rod. That's a thing that we often do as a way of solving the issue of something that's supposed to be flying or jumping out of the water or leaping into space. So that's a possibility. You can also make the talons or the claws open and put him on a log or some other kind of thing that he's just alighted on, and that would be fine too. You can sculpt yourself a tree, some kind of little bonsai tree that's kind of basically a tree trunk that comes up and then juts out sideways to give the kind of a perch that he could land on. And that would add a little bit more of expense to your sculpture, but it would give you some kind of a base element that has a natural feel to it, if that's important to you. And then I get to figure out how to actually cast the thing and weld it together later so that it's a successful sculpture that I can put all the pieces back together. And I can do that, so there's not a problem there.
Okay,
does any of that help? Does a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like the rod idea, although instead of the breast, I might try to go for the back or something and just angle the tail different. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll get there.
Well, it could even go up kind of between his tail and legs, kind of where the sun don't shine. But if he's kind of flaring out and stalling out and coming down for a landing, that might be the angle that you want to actually put him at.
Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And then the rod would just come right out of his tailbone.
Yeah, nice way to say it.
All right, well, you got something to think about now, so that's good. See, the design part of this is also fun. It's not just the sculpting, because we have to figure out how to design the presentation of these pieces. So if a thing has to stand up, we have to figure out how to make it stand up. That's kind of, part of the challenge of all of this. You did good. That's good.
Hoping for an A.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Didn't mean to kill the conversation with my question. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I kind of ran out of things to talk about too. All I can say is that I've been sculpting on this for, at least 4 hours today, in between classes, and with you guys this evening makes it about 5 hours. So it's amazing when you actually can focus on something. You do get a lot of work done. let's see, I'm going to change my angle of my camera here so that you guys can see what I'm up to. I don't know if that's the camera I want or not. Maybe this camera. I gotta go find myself because I gotta pin the thing to me so I can show you what I'm working on here. So I've got my I've got this sculpture doing this, and this other little sculpture does that. And you know, this sculpture is about half the size of this sculpture. But one of the things that I'm doing with contemporary figure sculpture is trying to get myself away from bases and base elements. And the only time when I can't do that is when I've got a standing figure that I absolutely need to put on a base of some kind to make it stand up. But you know, we go back to our elementary school math classes, geometry classes, and we talk about that what constitute a plane. Well, 3 points in space is what a plane needs to pass through to constitute a plane. And that's kind of what you need to have a stable base to stand up, at least 3 points of contact to the tabletop. So I'm always kind of building these contemporary figures so that I've got 3 or 4 points of contact so that they support themselves. They don't need a base of some kind. It's a kind of a difference between contemporary art and Western art. Western art, when you're dealing with horses, grizzly bears, cowboys and Indians, bucking broncos, stuff like that, you usually put them on some kind of a very elaborate base. And then maybe that's even cast bronze and it's on top of a walnut wood base. So that, you know, you got all of these layers of base element in the tradition of Western art. And in contemporary art, you know, we're trying to find something that's, you know, new and edgy and avant-garde and also French. And so we try to, you know, play with a way of getting away from some of those traditional conventions for presenting the sculptures. And a base is one of those things that I can, you know, do away with if I can find an interesting, you know, sculptural pose that can support itself. I usually try to do that. But a lot of you guys, you know, have already figured that out because you've got your figure, you know, sitting on a mushroom. So the mushroom is part of the sculpture, and it provides this transitional element and sort of a base element for the piece. So we just have to kind of figure out how we're going to present our pieces. And that's kind of an additional challenge for all of this, is how do we do that? So put that on the back burner in your brain while you're trying to design these pieces to try to figure out, you know, how they can support themselves, how they present to the public. It's really easy when you have a reclining piece because it can't do anything except lay down. That's what it does. It's a reclining sculpture. But, you know, a seated or a kneeling piece, you know, actually trying to find the balance in that seated or kneeling piece so that it does its thing. And then you have to either decide what kind of a base you're going to build for it and mount it to, or try to make it so that it has at least those three points of contact. I got to figure out how to make that visible on my webcam so that you're creating a plane underneath of it. Okay, I'm shutting up now. You know, I haven't even really been using my hot box all that much. I've just been taking a couple of chunks of scrap wax and sticking it underneath my armpit, basically, to warm it up. I'm only using little bits of wax at a time that I'm adding to the piece with the additive process, and I'm doing lots and lots of carving on the piece with the Italian sculpting tool, and so removing with a subtractive process. But slowly but surely, I am, you know, turning scrap wax into a wax sculpture here, and doing that slowly by warming the wax underneath my armpits because it's just a handy place where there's residual heat that you can warm up the wax with. I know, too much information. And I suppose you guys are pretty much done with this evening too. Well, I've been presenting for around 40 minutes and, that's more than anybody wants to hear the sound of my voice. So I might have to start wrapping things up tonight. If you guys have any questions though, or comments for the good of the order, or to satisfy your own curiosity before we leave, I'm happy to answer questions, make up lies, do what I can to give you a sense of either bronze casting and sculpture in general, or the art world, the greater art world, I guess, in general. Just in case you have any questions about that stuff. When I was in college, I never got to go to art museums or art galleries very much. And, I always kind of regretted that. It's a habit of mind that I really would like to promote and get people into. We do have the Coos Art Museum here in town. They are open Tuesday through Saturday. Unfortunately, they charge a $5 entry fee, but when they have a gallery opening, then it's a free day. So that's a thing to kind of keep in mind. But Coos Art Museum is a wonderful art resource in town. Between that and the art galleries that are in the downtown areas of North Bend and Coos Bay, we do still have some arts going on, even in the middle of a pandemic. So I'd highly recommend, if you guys are looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon, to head over to the Coos Art Museum, or maybe go downtown Bandon. You can get an ice cream cone, but also stop at the 2nd Street Gallery in Old Town Bandon. So, take in some of the art and art gallery stuff that's going on in town. Coos Art Museum is rather nice because it has 3 galleries, 2 upstairs and, well, 2 downstairs, 4 galleries, if you count the little tiny gallery. And so they've got usually a variety of stuff. They've got usually 3 or 4 different shows at Coos Art Museum, highlighting different artists, movements, or ideas about art, plus their permanent collection. So it's really good to take in that show whenever you can.
First moved over here to the coast, it was last April when everything first kind of locked down. And it was creepy down in Bandon because it's a tourist area and all those art galleries and everything, and it's just a ghost town. Like anytime you go, like just go down there. I don't know. It was kind of sad seeing it. It was like a shell of its former self or something like that.
Yeah, that is true. This whole pandemic has taken its toll on the art world in particular, and the performing arts as bad or even worse than the visual arts. So many theaters and concerts and everything have just been canceled for over a year. So lots of performers are really, really hurting right now. And I think that when we are able to go to concerts and theaters again, we're going to be pretty happy about the whole thing. So there will probably be a wonderful renaissance in the performing arts once we get this pandemic behind us. I'm hopeful anyway. I think that's probably going to do it for us. There's something else in the chat that I haven't. Okay. Oh, since you're busy most of next week, would you say 2 weeks till we start casting? I could say 2 weeks till we start casting, but what I'd like to do next week is be able to gate something up as a demonstration for you guys on camera during class. So that's why I was inviting any pieces that were kind of done to come back to the back door here so that I could take them in and then I could actually work on them to show you this concept of creating a gating system with a pouring cup. so that we are going to take that assembly then and take it through the investment casting process. So it doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, I would be happy to do it with 10 pieces. And I figure each of you guys are good for at least 2 pieces. You'll probably cast something little like my demonstration kitty cat, as well as something, you know, maybe medium sized or something. And maybe you got 3 or 4 things that you're trying to cast. I know I'm being probably over optimistic there, but I'm happy to start demonstrating this process of gating things next week, even if I'm going to do it with my own pieces. So that'll be part of next week's classroom demonstrations. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I thank you guys so much for tuning in and keeping up with this. And hopefully you'll find some more inspiration to maybe put some extra hours in this weekend to get your sculptures moving a little bit further and faster so we can get these things resolved in the next 2 weeks. Until next Monday, which is, oh my gosh, you know, 4 or 5 days from now, I'll see you guys and have a good rest of your week and a good weekend. Goodbye for
See you
now.
later, Fritz.
So long.